Welcome back. It's number 6 in the Gem Kesher site or Derech Hashem experience. And what did we do last time? We finished off our discussion about the Creator, about what this being is and certainly what he is not. And if you didn't do that, you've got to go back and do it. But this one, it's loads of fun. It's called the purpose of creation. Now, there's 2 words there, purpose and creation. So purpose presupposes that there's a function, and creation presupposes there's a creator. As we described last time, you can't say creation's an accident, because if it's an accident means someone's will wasn't fulfilled. So even if the whole of creation is an accident, it means someone created it, but it didn't go to plan. In order to really be atheistic properly, if you really don't want to believe in a creator, this is how you have to go about it. You have to say every single atom was created perfectly balanced with all matter and dark matter, functioning in perfect laws which interface with each other in a completely balanced holistic web, which obviously shows creation, but that whole thing can't happen by accident. It was some kind of freak event which is perfectly organized and continues to sustain itself in a perfectly organized way without any start or function or reason whatsoever. That's obviously complete nonsense. You wouldn't believe that in anything else in your life. Why would you believe that with that structure of creation? So the thing is, the word purpose is more of a problem than creator. It's much easier to presuppose the concept of a creator behind creation, because everything's very clearly designed. But who says there's a purpose? Now, this can't be an experiment. It can't be a bit of fun. It can't be God wanted to learn anything. You can't experimentalize anything if you know what all the answers are. He invented the variables of science first, before he actually put it into being. So there's nothing he's going to learn from this. It can't be he's bored. Bored is an expression of frustration. You know, I've got time on my hands and I want to do something. God doesn't exist in time. He had to invent time. It's a pulsation of the universe pulsing in with gravity that makes a ripple that creates something that we know as time. It's a dimension he had to make. We know this from the Torah. So it isn't as if he was bored and he was just experimenting, or he was frustrated, or he just wanted to see what would happen. It doesn't work like that at all. All those things are deficiencies. It doesn't have frustration, which is a form of pain. It doesn't work like that. So what's the purpose? We said last time that all of our wants are based in some kind of a need. I want to have the latest iPhone because I feel deficient without it. I want to be able to dine in those restaurants because I feel better about myself because I do that, and I enjoy the experience of the food more, and I want to have better experiences in life because I feel as if I need to fulfill myself. All wants come from a need. If God can't have a need because he's perfect, why does he want what he wants? He does want things. That's why things happen. It's an expression of what we call Ratzon Hashem, the will of the name. Literally, Hashem means the name of the Creator. So why would he want anything? Lots and lots and lots of discussion in Torah literature. And you may see things which seem to contradict what I'm going to tell you. But I'm actually, and this is sourced, everything that you will hear as to why God created the universe all boils down to one focal point. And that one focal point is this: that God's purpose in creation was to bestow of his good to another. Not because he needed to. He won't be lonely, and he won't get sad if he doesn't. He's fine. He's completely fine. He wishes for reasons we cannot fathom, because I can't know why anything wants something that doesn't need it. To bestow of himself to something that wasn't himself. It wasn't a need. It wasn't for it. He has to be a Baal Chesed. I've got to do Chesed. I've got to do loving kindness. If I don't, I'm really not God, because God's got to be giving, right? No, he's completely fine. He's completely holistically, absolutely fine. He doesn't need you. He wants you. Why does he want? I would say, and this is what we said last time, he cannot explain it to you. He could say it. You don't have ears to hear it properly. Because everything in our experience is limited, dependent upon other things, and we're incredibly fragile, frangible, needy creatures. We're always going to be thinking. The fact that I think is synapses in my brain firing neurotransmitter to each other. which means I need neurotransmitter. I need the synapses. I need the brain to work correctly before I can even think. It's all limited. And my thought processes are one after another in series, possibly with parallel incomings, depending upon how you define the brain. It's just like a computer. Computers are finite. They're limited. They need nutrients. I can't take a lump of meat inside my skull and utilize that to understand that which is completely unbound and utterly perfect. I don't have the tools. What we do know is that he wanted to bestow his good to another. That's a tradition that has been handed down to us from the Avos, from the forefathers, from the mass revelation of at least 15 million people standing at the foot of Har Sinai, and from all the sages, all the prophets, all the Talmud Chacham, all the Torah scholars have all said the same thing. So you know what? That's the data. Okay, you have to work with that. The question is, more importantly, I don't think about the fact that he wants to give his good to another. Why does he have to give of his good to another? I'll be perfectly happy with a tropical island in a large yacht. If anyone wants to have a quick whip round, you could donate to sign off for the Rabbi Goodman's Yacht Island Fund. I'd be very thankful, very, very much. I'd like that very much. I would love that. I would love a yacht, luxury yacht. One with a helicopter on the back and jet skis. If you're browsing through, if anyone's something nice, do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I've gone off. So I was... You get the idea. I'm very happy. I don't have to have his good. I'll take that good. I'm perfectly happy with that. Let's go into my wibbly wobbly dream world of the yacht because frankly I like the idea. Okay, so I'm on the back of my yacht watching a sunset somewhere in the Caribbean. It's very, very nice at the moment. I've got a very nice glass of kosher champagne from the Champagne region that's chilled to perfection, and I'm just watching this go down, and this is all very, very good. And God says, Mordechai, I love you very much. Here's the good that I'm going to bestow you. Here's the yacht. Here's the champagne. There's the bucket of ice. Here's the most beautiful sunset you've ever seen. Here are the most wonderful clouds. Enjoy it. So I'm sipping on the... fantastic. And the sun goes down. It was the best sunset I've ever seen. Amazing. And the wind was just right. And the waves were just right. The sound of them was just right. And some dolphins popped out and went... kind of the way they were... it was the most amazing thing you've ever seen. Amazing. Okay, here's the thing. One is the champagne runs out. The ice melts. The seats I'm sitting on get grubby. The sunset is gone. It's now dark. Someone's going to have to clean the boat. Once in a while, you have to refuel with marine diesel a yacht. Got news for you. It's tens of thousands of pounds. No, there's no floating Esso and Shell stations in the ocean. You have to go to port and put it. You want to fill up a super yacht's fuel? That's Locha Rubber doing that. Who's going to insure it? Once in a while, I have to take the yacht out into dry dock and careen the hull. So these barnacles and things that get lichens that get stuck onto it and they cause drags. You have to, hose them off. It's a big thing. And when something goes wrong on a yacht, who are you going to call? You can't call Quick Fit Euro or, ATS or some kind of regular, we can have your wheels on next week. That has to go into a special yard made by the company in Italy which makes super yachts. It's a tremendous expense. Every element of it is rotting and getting rusted in the sea. The champagne has gone. That ice bucket was in has started to rust. It now needs polishing up. It's sea air, it's high in salt. It will rust things. The jet skis, my lovely jet skis, and the helicopter needs resurfacing every few hours. The actual blades are only good for a number of rotations. You have to strip the unit and rebuild it. The engine needs completely restripping in order to get flight authority certification. Goodness sake, who needs all this hassle? All that for a sunset? That's the problem. The problem is that if you were to be bestowed anything but God himself, it would be imperfect. All right, you know what? It doesn't bother me. I'll take the yacht. You know what I mean? Don't stop your collection, by the way, for the yacht. Okay, just this shouldn't turn you off. I'm very happy. But you're like, now hold on. Okay, so look, so it's not perfect. What's the problem with that? So just give me the yacht. Answer: God's perfect. That does lead to a bit of a logistical problem. He's perfect. Therefore, if he's going to do something perfectly, he's got to give you the best he could give you. Giving you a planet with a lovely ocean and a lovely, yacht and a helicopter and a jet ski and a bouncy castle or whatever it is you like is all not him, which means it's imperfect, which means he's giving you something imperfect. It's still good, but it's got problems with it. The bouncy castle can get a hole in. You only got to find. I had to like a rubber finding the hole on a bouncy castle to patch that thing up. 6 weeks, just like there's a hole there somewhere. Someone threw a dart in it. Yeah, that's not. If God were to give you anything which wasn't the best, he'd be failing in his ability to give, and he can't fail because he's perfect. So frankly, he has no options of what he could give you. Think about it. If he's going to do it the right way, what could he do but the right way? Perfection is very limited in that sense. It's limited by being perfect. It can't become imperfect. That's not an imperfection. It's an expression of perfection. So what's he got to give you? Him. The greatest thing he can bestow is him, because he's truly imperfect. So anything that would get the ultimate thing that's available would be closeness to him. Now, he can't give of himself because he can't split himself into bits. Our neshama, our souls, are not bits of God. We'll get to this. Chelek elokam is a mistranslation. It's an element of divinity. Moshe Rabbeinu was called Ish Elokim. Dayanim are called Elokim. We don't worship them. Our neshamas, our souls, are very lofty creatures, very lofty things that were made. They're not God. Nothing is God but God. He's completely divorced from any relationship or any connection to anything, as we said at the end of last time. So the only thing he can bestow is him. But how can he give of himself? He can't be put into bits. He can't apportion himself out like a cake and give you a bigger slice because you've been a better boy. Oh, you've been naughty. You can get a thinner slice. It doesn't work like that. The only way the system is going to work is as follows. He gives the opportunity for something else that exists to gain closeness to him. The more close you get, the more you get. You can get closer by doing better things. You get further away by doing worse things. He's static. He just is. It's you that's mobile. It's you that's limited. You've got to align up with him as best as possible. The more you do, the more you get. The less you align, the less you get. This is the concept of God's giving something else the ability to gain some level of relationship with him. He's got to make a system and a world for you to live in, a dimension for you to exist in. You've got to know about him. You've got to understand that there are things you can do to prove your allegiance. You have nothing you can give God except your allegiance. Obedience is the only currency we have with him. Everything else is his. What are we going to give him? Shkoyach. Oh, that was nice. A compliment. He's got it already. I'll give you money. I invented currency. I'll give you a house. No physical thing can house my grandeur. Nothing you can give him. The only thing you can give him is your allegiance. That's truly your currency that you deal in. In order to give him your allegiance, you have to have the opportunity not to allay yourself, not to show him your fealty, not to give him your obedience. Otherwise, giving it to him would mean nothing. If you were forced at gunpoint to always have obedience, being obedient is no great shakes. Being obedient when you don't have to be obedient, that's something you can trade in. A very important point. Let's see it inside. We're in the book, page 37, which is now chapter 2, the purpose of creation, in section 1, fundamentals. God's purpose in creation, which means that he created this whole universe for a function, which means everything in it has a function. It's all working within it for a particular function. There's nothing meaningless or useless in all of creation. Not an atom, not a speck of dust in the farthest galaxy from this one is useless. There's a reason that it exists and it has a function. You just don't know it. You're not meant to. It's not your business. It's not your place to criticize what's going on. You don't understand the whole system. It's not your business. Your business is to deal with what you've got to deal with. Not like, why are there comets? And why are there so many of them? Aren't they a bit useless? No, they're not. Comets are actually discussed in Bar Bracha. Shmuel, the famous Amor Shmuel, knew all about comets. They have each one has a particular system and why it does that. Very interesting ideas. I digress. The point is, it's not your role to know every speck and iota of creation. But God's purpose in creation was that everything is there for a reason, otherwise he wouldn't have made it. And it is functioning a purpose. He's going to say now kind of what we've said in the intro. God alone is true perfection. We've established this from last time, right? From number 5 and 4. And he's free of all deficiency. That we know about him. That's the definition of perfection. And there is no perfection comparable to him. Any imaginable perfection with the exception of God's is therefore not true perfection. Now, other things may be said to have perfection, a perfect diamond, a perfect Ferrari, but it is only relative to something less perfect. Absolute perfection is the realm only of God. If I have a perfect diamond And this jeweler says, this is the most perfect diamond that I've ever seen in my whole life. What he means is that in comparison to other diamonds, the flaws in them show them up versus this diamond. I've got news for you. That diamond will not cook me breakfast. It is the most imperfect cooker you've ever seen. It's not a good microwave. Won't warm me up any porridge. It's useless for that. You can have the most perfect Ferrari that ever existed, but it is not as good as a jet plane when I want to go to America over the Atlantic. It is a brilliant Ferrari compared to other Ferraris, but maybe it isn't a brilliant tank when you want to go to war. It's too low, it's too red, and it doesn't have any armament or protective material. It's just not a good war machine. Things can have perfection, but relative to other things in their class, God is the only true perfection who is completely devoid of any deficiency whatsoever. Now, since God himself desired, for reasons that we cannot understand because we can't know why he wants, to bestow of his good, partial good wouldn't be good enough. It would be insufficient. The good that he bestows would have to be the ultimate good that he himself could accept. And that's obviously going to be the best, right? God alone, however, is the only true good. Everything is lacking good vis-a-vis him. And therefore his beneficent desire would be not satisfied or be unsatisfied unless this desire, could bestow that very good, namely the perfect true good that exists in his intrinsic essence. Wow. So the purpose of creation really is a framework to allow God to justifiably give of himself to something else. Whatever that else may be. And there'll be lots of else's. But the fact that he's giving to something else needs a creation, because there isn't anything but him at this, you can't say moment in time because he hasn't created time. There's nothing but him. He just is. There's no universe yet. There's no yet. Again, we're running out of lexicon. You get the idea. And this is true in another way. True good exists only in God himself. His wisdom therefore decreed that, highlight or underline if you've got a book, the nature of this true benefaction be his giving created things the opportunity to attach themselves to him. Stop highlighting. That's the key. He's created a universe where within the framework of that universe, there are opportunities for you to actively attach yourself to him. To the greatest degree possible for that creature, obviously. It's going to be limited. God is not a trophy. He's not a certificate. He's in a degree level. He's not something you can win and then put on your mantelpiece. He's not something for you to grasp. You cannot get God. Even if you get close to him, you can't say you've got him. He's infinite. He's completely unbound by anything, and we are bound. And for us to have our own unique identity and still be bound, fragile creatures, there's only so much of him we can get. Now, we can get an infinite amount if we're given an infinite scope to do so, and we'll discuss that. But even going through infinity, getting it, there's still as much of an infinity more to get than there was when you started. You're never going to get God complete. You can't own him. You can't grasp him. You can't put him in a box. He is utterly outside of your realm of existence. He's not yours for the taking. He's yours for the getting closer to. That's available. That's got to be the best thing you could get close to. All aspirations are secondary to that. I want to be the greatest medalist, the greatest musician, the greatest celebrity, the greatest designer, the greatest architect. It's all secondary to being greatest in my possible ability to have a relationship with the Creator. Because anything you're going to get out of anything else is always going to be limited, fragile, and is going to end. Apart from this. This is the only thing that you've really got. Before you were born, you had a relationship with the Creator. While you're alive, you have a relationship with the Creator. After you're dead, you'll have a relationship with the Creator. After you're resurrected, you'll have a relationship with the Creator. It's the only thing that's constant. The best thing you can do is to enhance that for yourself in the best way possible. Everything else you strive for in your life can only be of secondary importance to that in absolute terms. I got a wonderful job. I got a wonderful house. I paid off my mortgage. All my kids. So what? The house is going to rot. The job is going to go. Your body's going to go. It's all limited and temporary. Your body will be recycled into carbon and end up growing in the grass around your grave. What are you working for? What's truly worth it? The only thing that's really constant in your existence is this relationship. Developing that relationship to the best way possible is the best thing you can do for you long term. It's a very important point. This world is a means to an end, not an end in and of itself. Those who say that this world is an end in and of itself are going to end up very miserable because it's never good enough. It's just a tool, something he created as a framework to get the job done, which is why it's disposable. This world will be folded. According to scientists, the sun is going to expand and engulf the earth in time. Oh, well, we'll go to other places by then. What? Until eventually all the places blow up and the big crunch happens. For what purpose? Clearly, this world is this universe is disposable. It's there for purpose. So use it correctly. Don't worry, there's a manual. Comes with a manual. Therefore, even though created things, you and me, cannot emulate God's perfection in their own right, because I'm intrinsically fragile, intrinsically imperfect in every element of my being, the fact that they could be attached to God allows them to quote-unquote partake of his closeness. You're having that relationship. Judaism is all about the utilization of every single physical item on earth as a tool to promote and enhance your relationship with an infinite being. It's just a vocational lifestyle for such. There's nothing more to it. Everything boils down to that. Everything. And without physicality, you can't get close to him, which knocks Buddhism, Jainism, Taoism all on the head. We need physicality. They say physicality is a barrier. We say physicality is the key. We have to utilize physicality. Every element of it. How we put on our shoes, how we get dressed, how we behave in the bathroom, are all tools to be able to better align ourselves with something which is completely outside of our remit, because he has given us a framework to do so. He's given us rules. These aren't something to limit you. These are something to align. There's a rule in every relationship, how to be with a wife, how to be with a brother or a father. There's rules for that relationship to work. How would you have the best possible relationship with someone? Well, I've got news for you. Don't be rude to them. Remember their birthday. Get them gifts once in a while. Make sure they're okay. Show that you care. Why? No, I can do anything. No. There's conditions to a relationship. And there are conditions to this relationship too. The outcome of your relationship is based upon conditions that are met or not. If they are attached to God, they could be considered part or attached to God's perfection as a result of their association. I'm part of the crown's remit because I work in Buckingham Palace. So I'm part of the Queen's retinue. Therefore, when you see me, let's say if I work there, it's part of the royal system. They can thus derive pleasure. The ultimate pleasure must be closeness to God, because any other pleasure wears off. Even that sunset sitting on the back of that yacht, how long is that going to last? 15 minutes? Wears off. Then I want to see the sunrise the next morning, right? Just keeps going. I'm always running out of champagne. You've got to keep it chilled, right? I have a big, vast wine thing on that boat. Don't forget about the boat. The fund is still open. They can thus derive pleasure from that true good to the greatest degree possible for them. This is the highlight line. This is why you came here, for this line. Top of page 39, highlight the rest of this sentence. The purpose of all that was created was that it includes squid, peanut butter, lemons, comets, black holes, dust, everything, was therefore to bring into existence a creature who could derive pleasure from God's own good in a way that would be possible for it. Everything else exists as a framework. Remember when we did the blue-orange? And I told you to imagine a blue-orange, right? And you had that blue-orange with the green thing growing up and the white flower on the top. I told you to put it on a table in a room. Did I tell you when you did this? Devise the concept of physical space. Invent the idea of a table. Make sure the table has enough material force to withstand the force of an orange sitting on top of it. Invent friction so that the orange wouldn't slide off. Invent a light and the concept of photons so that when they bounce off of the orange's skin, you see it as blue. You did all that instantaneously Without any effort, you put all the physics in to imagine a room with a table with an orange in. A room with a table means there's gravity keeping the table and the orange on the floor. The concept of light, the concept of wavelength, so that orange and blue aren't the same and green and white, right? You did all that. Why? To make the framework for the purpose. Gravity, friction, everything is so you could create a creature, put it somewhere it could exist, then give it the opportunity for it to do stuff. It's the purpose of all of creation. It's a function, it's a framework. That's what nature's about. Make some notes. If you've got a book, see page 53, page 91.1, page 253.5. These are all corollaries, and when we highlight those and go back and forth, you'll see they're all linked. The purpose of the entire creation. First of all, there was a purpose. God doesn't do things without purpose because that would be an imperfection. He doesn't waste his time and fiddle about. If he's doing something, there's not only purpose, there's what you can learn from it. He's just all perfect. If he's doing it for a reason. The reason he did it was to give something other than him the ability to get close to him, because that would be the very best thing that thing could get. Did he need to do this? No. If he didn't do it, would he be any worse off? That'd be fine. He's intrinsically perfect, doesn't need you. He wants to. Why would he want to? We don't know. We can't say. Because all of his wants can't be needs. And all of our wants must intrinsically be needs. He wanted to do it. That's as far as the buck stops. That's where the questioning stops. Why did God want to create the universe? I don't know. Because he wanted to. Why does he want something? That's not our remit. How could I be very careful of anyone that actually gives you an answer for that? If someone said God wanted to do this for X, Y, and Z, be very suspicious of such a person's answer, and possibly of the person themselves. We've got to know where to stop, right? Because it's our tradition. It doesn't go further than that. Now that we know he has done something in order to give his good to another, that means everything else. This table is here to hold these objects, and these objects are here to be utilized. And I'm here to speak this out to you. And you're there and hearing this speech in order to develop an understanding or relationship thereon with the concept of what Judaism is, getting close to the Creator. Judaism is only invented for Judaism secondary. Judaism is secondary. It's only there as a tool to get close to the Creator. The ultimate thing is this closeness, this incredible experience of pleasure that you must be having, getting close to something which is all infinite and all one, and utterly devoid of perfection. Complete. That's got to be the ultimate. Everything else, mitzvahs, the Torah, our existence, our lives are all created to get to this ultimate function, which is a closeness, a bond, a relationship to that which is most perfect. That's the most we could hope for in our existence. There's nothing more we could aim for. Why did God want to do it? I don't know. Who can say? Who could hear what he would have to say if he would say it? I don't know. We don't have to figure that out. Your job is to do the very best you can do with the materials given to you to be able to utilize them in the best possible way for your benefit. God's certainly not going to get any benefit out of this. Well, I used a wire correctly. Oh, great. You used the wire correctly for what? For you, so now that could be translated into something which for you would be a better situation. This whole thing's for you. It's not for him. And everything that he made was for a creature to be a creature who has been created. There's no point our souls being God if that means God's giving of himself to himself. That's ridiculous. He doesn't need to bestow himself to himself. We are very, very close to God. Our soul is incredibly lofty. But the whole point is it must be separate. Otherwise there'd be no one to bestow to. Now, where are we? Like the blue-orange is in your imagination's eye, as it were, we are not as real as God. He had to create the framework for us to live in and to exist in. Which means we're not as real as him. He's more real than us. If we were to disappear, he'd be fine. If he can't disappear, but we're totally dependent upon him. If he were to disappear, we'd all disappear. We need him. He doesn't need us. That's something we learned in the first chapter. The purpose of creation is to utilize the framework that God has given us in order to be able to better our relationship with him, only for our benefit. It's completely for our benefit alone. There's no one else that he'll be benefiting. We are the recipients. We're the focal point of that giving, of that beneficiary desire. That's it. That's the purpose of creation. Now we've got to start talking about how that has to happen. for that to happen, it actually becomes logistically incredibly complicated. How are you going to do that? Especially because we're imperfect and he's perfect. How can you bestow perfection to that which is imperfect? That we've got to discuss. And that's going to be the point of the next point, which is point 2, page 39, which would be in episode number 7. Isn't it great? Isn't it great to have you here? Of course, I think the powers that be at Saitor will open up maybe a Patreon page for my yacht. Can't wait. Thank you very much for that. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful week and join us then. All the best.